Another fun fact about these this fucking psychopath Brandon Roberts um is these motherfuckers right here. So Brandon, he actually admitted that to me too. This is funny. Um they had a network of hospitals and stuff. So like I said, I used to be beaten and raped quite a bit by this guy. He's got some weird ass fetishes and stuff, and um all kinds of good shit. So but he's, like I said, he's crazy. So he's enjoyed harming me. And these people, along with like fake birth certificates and things like that, these people are connected to a network of hospitals and doctors and stuff like that that help with A, poisoning people, and B, when my mind was being completely wiped and I was being beaten, abused, raped, and all of that, basically helping treat those wounds and stuff like that, and shove me out the back door and stuff. That's how they were getting that kind of stuff done. I've had a herniated disc, a fucked up jaw, chronic pain in my neck and my back, especially on my left hand side, and an issue with my left foot. Something happened, and all of this is attributed to like trauma that my body has stored because I have been brutally beaten at times, and made to forget about it. But your body stores the trauma, your muscle memory remembers things and stuff like that. So it's played out quite a bit. So I have the chronic pain and injuries too that have been sustained that validate that something happened to me, because I've never really been in any real bad accidents, like nothing, like substantial. So it goes back to the constant abuse that this handler has dealt with. Either way, everywhere that I go, those people show up. It's funny because they were at the beach in Marina when my car got, the last rental car that I was driving got, when the battery went dead and the tires were tampered with, and then the air system was tampered with, unless the air system was tampered with before. So either way, they keep tampering with the air system so that they can filter poison through the car. Again, they were trying to do this with my original vehicle. So that it, like I said, so it looked like I died of natural causes. They have been in and out of court trying to stall and delay their inevitable fates by saying that I'm dead, that I'm missing, because they don't want me to show up and prove who I am. So that it just validates that they've been stealing from me for all this time. But anyways, that AMR place, they have to be linked to his weird ass medical connections and stuff like that, because they've stalked me around quite a bit. Not saying that they don't show up and they don't have, like at the beach and stuff like that. Not saying that they're not supposed to show up, but there was specific instance when I was at a park and stuff, just trying to like eat something clean, and one of them showed up and parked right behind me, and I instantly started to feel sick. So like I said, it's really weird because it's like whatever's going on, it's like there's a lot of poison and contaminants being emitted, you know what I mean? And even though it's directed at me, it still impacts other people, because if I'm feeling this shit, other people have to be feeling it too. And I'm mentioning it too, like the lethargy, the body aches, you know what I mean? Feeling like, pain and stuff and symptoms in your back and stuff like that. Like I said, I have had circulatory issues. My heart has struggled the last couple of days. It's starting to subside, but I've had substantial swelling in my legs and feet. The shit that they were playing with is no joke. That's why I said it's like that's what substantiates the military connections here, because this is some nasty shit. This is like biological chemical warfare, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it's being launched against one person, but the thing is that they keep showing up and trying to spray and contaminate the areas around me if they don't just break into the vehicles or wherever I'm at. This was also happening in my home, in my apartment, before I left and lost my job, in my vehicle and everything. I was being illegally surveilled. Illegally surveilled, and as well as things being, they were poisoning things like my little Glade air filter thing, you know what I mean? So poisoning my food, poisoning my water, poisoning things around my home, so that I would get sick. And my apartment complex was in on it. Several people were, not to mention that Brandon has been at several places that I've been. He has followed me around, and had sexual relations with several people that have been my neighbors and stuff like that. And when I look back in my memory and I remember certain things, because he's wiped my mind about, who he is and what he's done to me quite a bit. But now that I'm starting to recall things and things are starting to make sense, Brandon was not only having sex in my vehicle, he was bringing people into my apartment up to and including the apartment manager and having sex in my apartment on and I believe it was being filmed because there was some part where there was some kind of like narrative that they were trying to paint that I was some kind of prostitute host or something like that. Some of this I think was just done for fun. He also came in and vandalized my home, did certain things, to gaslight me, pissed all over my floors, left infected blood in my sink. I've tried to run me off the road. This was all before I vacated my apartment because I realized that I was in severe danger there. He was coming in and out of my apartment. I never gave him actual keys to my apartment because I was such a loner and stuff like that. He showed back up in my life and approached me on a dating app, and because my memory has been so fucked with, I thought he was just somebody I met on a dating app, and now I realize that this guy has been a hitman in my life. He's been paid very well to do so, and he has a lot of skills and resources to do it, and he's a fucking psychopath, so he's enjoyed controlling me like a little robot doll. But anyways, in the interest of complete boundary violation, he's always enjoyed having access to me in a way that is not normal. So he had access to my apartment. He was bringing people in there and having sex with them. And also having sex with my neighbors. There were a couple of times where, I heard him upstairs. He was upstairs at one point before the neighbors changed and stuff like that, he fired a gun off because he knows I don't like loud noises and stuff like that. And like I said, at the time, I didn't recognize what was happening, but now that I know, what's been happening, and now that, and when I really tap into his voice, it's like I've heard him fucking around me and stuff several times. That's crazy. You know what I mean? But he was fucking my upstairs neighbors. He was fucking several people in my apartment complex, paying their rent, paying their cell phone bills, doing all kinds of shit so that they would fucking gang stalk and harass me, telling them horrible things about me. Like I said, he was also bringing them into my house and fucking them right on my bed and wherever else he wanted to fuck them. In my car, people were having sex in my car. He was having sex in my car. Very sexually depraved. A lot of sadism, a lot of real dysfunction there. And why that was so important, I'll never fucking know. But he does have a whole fucking STD, and whoever has actually banged with him or enjoyed doing this stuff with, he is not somebody to use a condom. So there's a lot of infected people running around right now with an STD, military grade STDs, because let's be right and real, this place creates and fosters and administers disease. There is not a disease that is running rampant right now that they haven't created, administered, and disseminated into the population. And then they turn around and give us poison and drugs and shit like that and call them weird ass names like Ozempic and shit that are the cure. We're all a bunch of beta testing ass guinea pigs, dude. That's pretty much what we are. But anyways, I wanted to leave that because this flat ass is standing in my way. Sorry, I'm just so over people. But I wanted to leave that because I got sidetracked, but that those ambulances and stuff like that, he's connected to that in some way. And I think it's because of his medical network, because when he came back into my life talking about oh, I'm just a regular guy and stuff like that, his occupation was that he was a radiologist and stuff like that. So he worked in surgery centers and stuff, and that's been the ongoing narrative and facade that he's kept up with me this whole time, especially as he's been gaslighting me. But the reason why that's his cover is because he was using a lot of stolen money to invest in basically having a corrupt medical network so that he could basically stalk, harass, maim, kill, destroy, harm people. And I'm sure I'm not the only person he's done this to. And basically he had a way to, get away with those things. So anyways, Also, that's a good way to, for him to be able to have connections to get, access to things like, my blood and things like that. Because from what I understand, my DNA has been placed at crime scenes. I've been accused of killing people and doing things that are just absolutely heinous and out of my wheelhouse, like things that I would never do to anybody. So, anyways, that's what's up. That's what's happening. And I'm just going to keep posting these things. I don't care how difficult they make it. I don't care who doesn't see it. I'm just going to keep posting it because I'm really sick of this shit. And hopefully some kind of justice will get served. Because the courts ain't done shit for me yet. Like, I know that they've been in and out of court, but it's so funny that everything has happened and transpired behind my back. Not even this motherfucker, this one that has been so bold to do so much shit to me in my life, has had the balls to really say anything or do anything to my face. So what I will say is, like, because I know you're in my phone, like, you all are a bunch of cowards. You all are. You sat there and had fucking weirdos pull up and spray poison around me yesterday and then stood around to see if I was going to die. And all of these things, and you can't even show your face. You can't even admit that it's you. And you know that I know. You've even called me and had weird ass conversations. Even had the nerve to tell me to not talk about your mom. Let me tell you something about your bitch ass mom. Fuck that crippled ass bitch, and fuck your daddy. I hope he's dead too, because you guys are all a fucking band of thieving ass, nefarious ass demons, and your whole bloodline deserves to be erased. So don't you ever sit up here and tell me not to talk about your mom when your mom's still alive. You fucking con artist. Anyways, bye.